Welcome to this preview for tonight's show, which will be in the archive for all eternity from 9:30 p.m. UK time at windowsontheworld.net. I do actually get onto YouTube and other social media platforms just for the sake of trying to get people to join us on Odyssey, Spreaker, and of course our Discord channel, all on the homepage at windowsontheworld.net. We don't put much on YouTube anymore. All of our stuff does, however, go to Odyssey, and it's all available either in the archive at windowsontheworld.net or on the live shows page. The live shows page at windowsontheworld.net is where our whole archive of all our Sunday shows is to be found. Hi, everybody, or anybody out there. This is just a preview. Yes, the world is in transit. Things are changing and the war is being waged on different fronts. It's all about strategy. We're going to be looking into that tonight and the bigger picture, how it all comes together, with some historical reference as usual. And very interesting stuff in the show tonight. A follow-on, of course, from everything we've been talking about, and all part of the bigger tapestry of what I've been putting out for a long time, because this is a global and lifelong research project. We're going to be getting into the whole idea of globalism, what that's about, how it's being defined, and how the globalists are actually shooting themselves in the foot with their narrative, which is quite easy to do if you lie all the time, really. So it's no wonder it does become unstuck and sounds a little bit unhinged and contradictory. We're going to be getting into that tonight, some of the more crazy aspects, especially the way that people are being demonized. And of course, everything outside the official narrative is far right, and how comedic that actually is. We have covered this quite a lot, but of course, all of this stuff is incredibly simplistic when it's taken down to the basics. And that's what we try and do on the shows. Greetings. I wish you would discuss the January 6th committee we are dealing with here in the States. Well, when I find out a bit more about it, I will. I do keep up with that. Jerry Marzinski sends us a lot of stuff through on our Discord channel. However, I don't spend all my time looking at everything that's going on. I've looked into a little bit of that, and it just to me, it just ties into the bigger picture of what's going on. I mean, there are very good commentators in the States who talk about what's going on there, and I keep up with them. What I try and do is frame things in a way that people can actually put it together as a global to local agenda. And that's really what the whole point of many of the shows have been out about, and that's actually what things are coming to, because things are happening locally which are now going against what's happening globally, which is where I always said the power was. Of course, it's local. If you're going to change things globally, it has to be done at a local level. Yes, pantomime. Oh, no, it isn't. Mark Dice. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, some of these American commentators are pretty good, aren't they? I mean, I get a lot of stuff sent to me, and there's a tendency with some of this stuff to be over exaggerated and to really go into the whole QAnon stuff and the Trump narrative, which is very interesting on a lot of levels, but it's really about what that means, even on a bigger level, because what it has to be kind of compared with is how this fits into the globalist agenda and how it's being used and how things are being steered through these platforms. And that's where the discrimination comes in. That's what I was talking about last couple of shows, really, about the way that discrimination is really, really important. Discernment, being able to be aware of actually what's behind things. And everything really is propaganda. So everything should be looked at as though it is potential propaganda. Yeah, our MSM reports on January 6, 24/7. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. And everything is being thrown at that. And I've kept up with some of the news. Very interesting, actually. The fella who was actually the face of it all is in prison, and he was being interviewed last week. I can't remember what channel it was on. It's quite interesting, really. He was very lively, very articulate, and considers himself to be a bit of a shaman. I think he got a bit carried away, but that's about all. But of course, this is what the whole narrative is I'm talking about. If you actually do anything that's outside the globalist rules of engagement, you're far right. It's never been more comedic. It can't get any more comedic than that. It's really what this show is going to be about tonight, where they've shot themselves in the foot with this whole far right thing and the way that globalists are defining themselves, and then globalism is actually being defined now as being far right as well. It's incredible. It's actually incredible. Yes. Why is chat only showing one person watching? Well, I don't know. I've got 47 on here. I've only been on a couple of minutes, so I'm not like one of these, these horrible sort of Facebook groups, and they go just waiting for more to come on, just waiting for a few more to come on, and then the thing's there anyway. So if they're just waiting for more people to come on, by the time they've got off that live stream, it's going to be there anyway. So what do you want to sit through them telling you to wait for 10 minutes while they talk a load of crap? I never do that. I get straight into it. I'll never waste anyone's time. I think that it's extremely indulgent and narcissistic to do that. But of course, that's what social media is all about, which is why we get pretty much zero engagement on there. And the reason we're coming off YouTube is because we've had community strikes on there. And really, people should only be using YouTube for what it's really for. I mean, one of the highest hitting videos on YouTube is of a cat getting into bed. So that should tell you all you need to know. Get onto Odyssey. Get onto Odyssey. All the links at the homepage of Windows on the World. Odyssey's brilliant. It's basically part of the blockchain, but it means that if you upload stuff up there, it's going to stay there forever because it's on library, and it works a bit like torrents, apparently. I used to fancy myself as a shaman once. I think everyone's done that, haven't they? Dressed up, gone to the woods with a spear and lit a fire, that sort of thing. But many of us do grow out of it, and some of them don't, and the ones who don't, we know where they end up, don't we? Well, I'm not going to say where they end up, but there's a certain place in the UK where a lot of them end up, the entitled narcissists who become shamans. The ones. Yes, I think you know what I'm talking about. Truth seeker, lol. If you think an uprising or a civil war is an answer, then you should get help. Well, I never said that, really, did I? No, of course it's not. That's exactly what's going to be engineered, really. But it's interesting because I find the way the narrative's falling apart, and I think it's the British Medical Journal now, they're demanding a lot of this information that they've said's got to be hidden for the next 50 years. They're demanding it basically on what's happened with the vaccines. I think that is a very interesting front that is being withdrawn from. But of course, there are other tricks up the sleeve, and it's COVID, climate, or terror. There, of course, is the Ukraine conflict, but I think that's really a theatrical presentation in the press, the way that's going. Geopolitically, that would take quite a long time to analyze, but I'm sure that it's just merely another driver for distraction at the moment. Yeah. Not you, Mark. Oh, yeah, no, I know, Jane. I was just saying, constantly playing on our insecurities to hold up their authority. Well, that's what it's about. That's what's called social engineering, you see. Social engineering. I'm 68 and never even been camping. Well, Charmaine, you should get out more, I think, I mean, they're going to ban camping. So, have you noticed they call it wild camping? Well, all camping's meant to be in the wild, innit? What's the point of camping in a car park? A lot of people do that now, don't they? Have you seen the new motorhome owners? I'm in a group on Facebook, and they say, this red light's just come on. What is it? These are people who bought a motorhome and used it once or twice, the ones that leave it on the drive all year round, not the hardy ones who live in them, Hello from Toronto. Hi, Toronto. What's happening there? These people will never stop. Well, they are relentless, you see, and that is part of what's going on to wear you down, the relentlessness. What about what? What about the Boris and Djokovic circus? Well, what about it? It's a circus, isn't it? It's a circus. Yeah, it's just a circus, that's all. Do you think this mandatory is a scare tactic for submission to take the poison? Hello from Blackpool. From Blackpool? Is it only mandatory in Blackpool now? Well, last time I went to Blackpool, it was really depressing. We went along the Golden Mile there, and basically just got harangued by an angry drunk who'd been on the beach with a bottle of cider all day. And I think we went into one of the amusement arcades and we won 40p. Yeah, fantastic. Didn't even go in the Weatherspoons, didn't even go up the tower, but went into the tower shop. because they wanted 15 quid to go up Blackpool Tower, which I thought was a bit expensive, really. The amount of camper vans for sale is interesting. Oh, that's good then. Do you remember the convoy travelling around festivals and camping? Oh, yes, but I wasn't actually in possession of a camping van when that happened, you see. I only got one bit later. Yeah, mandatory only applies for those working for the government. That's very true, actually. It's very true. But if things are unfolding as we believe they are, or many people who maybe watch the show believe they are, then we're going to start seeing the slight depopulation agenda coming into play. And it already is coming into play, really, isn't it? So, yeah, great. Too old now, too much arthritis. No, never stop. No, never say never, you see. Never say. The bluff on mandatory jabs worked pretty well in the run up to Christmas. Oh, it did. Oh, it did. It really did. Yeah, definitely. Have you seen this now that they've got these local authorities and organisations offering 100 quid to have the J? You know, quite incredible, isn't it? I was looking into that this week. Someone sent me a load of stuff on all that. But really, what I've been doing this week, if anyone's interested, you know, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the research. I've been looking at the martyrs again because I'm nearly finished my film off at last. And I've had to just do a load more re-research. It's absolutely parallel to what's going on now, the demonization. And I was looking up a Catholic martyr today called Friar John Forrest, who was burned on top of a statue of a Welsh warrior god called Derfel Gadarn. Fascinating story. And maybe I should do a show on that, actually, because I have mentioned it before, but I found the beatification of the martyrs, the English martyrs, which is a book put out really by Catholic organizations and guess who, the Society of Jesus. So all of these things are biased in some way, but very interesting when you look at the historical records of actually what was said or what was alleged to have been said. And basically, there's a lot of intrigue in the whole thing, which is fascinating. It's really just a very good analogy, the whole idea of heresy, to what's going on now. It's framed exactly the same way, in exactly the same principles. So in other words, if you didn't believe certain tenets of what was happening, then you were a heretic. And depending on who was in charge of the church, you could be burnt for treason and heresy. Very interesting stuff. Yes, let's have a look at some of these comments before I get off here, actually. People who get kicked out of Preston jail always end up on the streets of Blackpool. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, there weren't many people about, actually. When I went down there a couple of years ago, I had these really creepy pods. They were like out of a science fiction film, these big pods on these huge black stalks. And that was quite disturbing. It was like a sort of invasion of the body snatchers type scenario, you know, except there was no bodies there and no snatchers. Homeless camping is free. Well, that's right. I mean, it's a great idea, actually, to give up your place of residence and just go and live in a van. But at certain times of year, you have to be a little bit careful. Where I am at the moment, it's -6, but it feels like -12, according to the weather forecast. Yeah. All right, everyone. Yeah. I was brought up Catholic. That's what put me off religion. Yeah. Convent school. Yeah, that'd put you right off, wouldn't it? But it's quite interesting, actually, getting the perspectives on people who've gone through all that, because they do know a bit about the ecclesiastical doctrine and they will understand some of the stuff that I've been researching. So, yes, that's really interesting. I've just been working on that pretty much non-stop a week, and you get into one thing and it's sometimes hard to break out into another, which is probably why I haven't been looking too much at January the 6th in America and what's happening there. As I say, I do get sent a lot of it by Jerry Mozinski. And do join our Discord group. It's free, and you can just click on the link at windowsontheworld.net on the home page. Only free if it's allowed, but not in my NIMBY, not in my backyard. Yeah, well, what you mean camping? Wild camping. It's like when they say I'm wild swimming, you know. I love it. It's they've just made everything sound dangerous, haven't they? Oh, don't go camping in the wild. You never know what's out there. You know, we're releasing all these dangerous wild animals and they might come and eat you. The rewilding of Scotland, etc. They were going to introduce the lynx, but they've stopped because they didn't want to introduce bears. But bears generally keep themselves to themselves. If they really want to rewild Scotland, get a couple of tigers in. That'll sort them out. Bristol has been evicting people who live in vehicles. That's interesting. I'd like anybody who's got any experience of that, do send it in, because I know they've been really clamping down on people living in vehicles in the UK. Absolutely incredible. Even when I was there, which is, not too recently, there was signs going up everywhere that you couldn't camp. And of course, there's all these papers, like the Live Group who run the Express, and the local Live Group, which is Reach PLC. They're always doing these communitarian articles on camper vans getting demonized by people. Oh, they left all the rubbish. Well, I don't know anyone who had a camper van who's left rubbish anywhere. They always take it home in a plastic bag. So this is all, the psychological operations division of you'll own nothing and be happy. And what's happening now to cars is exactly what I said was going to happen 10 years ago. I said they're going to ban them, basically, but they're not going to ban them. They're just going to stop you being able to drive them, which is exactly what they're doing. Look at the clean air zone in Manchester. It's going to cost 60 quid to drive in and out of that. So they are really going for it with the cars. And of course, the electric cars are never going to be of any use, and they're all going to be controlled by a different electrical system. They're not going to be on the national grid, so that's all going to be private. It's all interesting. It's all the favoured corporations. What we've got coming up in tonight's show is a report from the World Bank, which is quite interesting. Don't go to sleep, because it is actually quite relevant, and I've just cherry-picked what they've said, because actually they don't say a lot. They don't actually say a lot. David Malpass, head of the World Bank, basically they give away what they want, which is basically control of everything on the back of being benevolent and helping the developing countries. It's that simple. There's nothing else to it, really. And it's about increasing the debt, leveraging, and basically through COVID, they've achieved an awful lot. It's been absolutely fantastic for them. It's hard to catch the wild haggis in Scotland. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Let's see what else is in it. Been following you since The People's Voice. That was a long time ago, Sean. And that was a bit of an ordeal. The People's Voice. It wasn't really the People's Voice. It was kind of a load of media lovies scrambling for attention, and my show trying to survive in the middle of it all, which it did. But I'm glad all that's over. It was quite exciting to start with, I have to say. You think, wow, this is great, proper live telly, even though it's on the internet. But most things are on the internet. Are you saying because it's not on the internet, it's not real? Is that what you're saying? Sound like a bailiff now. Oh, did you find that on the internet? What, Halsbury's Laws of England? Black's Law Dictionary? Yeah, I did, actually. Something strange has happened to Neil Oliver. What, has he grown his hair even more or something? Got more facial hair? I don't know, really. He's kind of got onto the right side of things, but he's still a gatekeeper, because what these people never do is actually go to the source of what's happening. They never go to the source. The source of it isn't the UK government or Boris Johnson. Never trust the media. TPV was 2012. No, Steve, I think it finished in about 2013. Early 2014 was when they pulled it. And it was meant to come back, but didn't. And what happened to that is still a mystery to me, and probably many others. But never mind. Things have moved on. Freemasons running it from a work mayor from, I don't know what that is. Oh, Robert. I've missed Robert's post there. Ireland has suddenly dropped the COVID pass. Yes, big thing. That's what I'm saying. There's a retreat going on. It's almost like run away, but probably not. There are other things on the horizon. And yeah, stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. I keep missing these. Mark, hang on a minute. What's this one? Mark, truckers here are doing a cavalcade across Canada and parking outside Parliament in Ottawa and not leaving till vax mandates are abolished. Well, that needs to be put out there. People out there, anybody, send me stuff in, important stuff like that. I do like to keep up with. I can't report on all of it, but what I do like, as I keep reiterating, is to be able to put it out as the bigger picture and refer to certain strands of what's going on, which I think is much more important in some ways. TPV got infiltrated. Bloody right it did. It was a nightmare in there. I remember the last show that I did with David Shaler. We were the last two people in the building, apart from the fellow who was in the gallery. And we were talking all about infiltration, funnily enough. It was called Infiltration Extra. And it's still up there. I'm very pleased with that, actually, because we were talking about how we got demonized there. And some of those people who came in there causing trouble, guess what? They're still around. But some of them obviously do disappear. But that's what I didn't like about that place, because there was people coming in who I knew were basically agents of the state, shall we say, putting out complete nonsense and trying to control the narrative. And I became a bit unpopular there for a while. People thought I was a bit paranoid until they found out what I was saying was true. I remember one fella came in and he was controlling the protests. And they put a little picture of him up by the door, no entry. So what I said did catch on a bit, you know. But anyway, that was then. This is now. Yeah. Pre-COVID, that was, wasn't it? Eh? Pre-COVID. Richie Allen was definitely not the bad guy. No, of course he wasn't. No, and Richie was all right. But I think there was a lot of conflict at that because people were pushed into a conflict situation because there's too many egos there. I mean, the person who was the predecessor to me before I went on the 5-day-a-week thing, well, she's still causing trouble out there now, still accusing people groundlessly of doing things they haven't done. There's a lot of mental illness out there, actually. That's what it comes down to. There's a lot of unhinged people. And in a way, looking at this information can make people who are unhinged even more unhinged, which is why I stay very focused and grounded within it all and see it for what it is. You have to be able to have this awareness. That's what I was talking about on the show before last, you know, the revelation of awareness, being able to actually put it in perspective, not in any new age type way, in a way where you really get to know what the whole thing's about and you can see it from an outside point of view. Because if you keep railing against it, that's all part of it. Hysterically fighting against memes is pointless. You have to actually be able to have strategy to attack these things. And that's what we're going to be talking about a bit tonight as well. Setting up patsies. Oh, there's going to be loads more of them. Happy New Year. Thank you, Angela, and everyone in chat. Just got back from sunny Jamaica. 6 weeks in sunny Jamaica. Listening to Poulton reading out her chat room guests is like some mad person having a party with their stuffed toys. That's what I was referring to, actually, Sean, even though I never mentioned that. That's why I stay away from the more unbalanced and fringe elements out there, because they will do your head in. And also, it's the ego, isn't it? It's all the ego and the narcissism that's involved in it all. You know, sometimes I don't really want to come on here. I sort of energize myself to do it. And all right, I'm trying to move things along for the show tonight, but I don't want to just come on here and talk for the sake of it and get on and say, oh, this one's saying that one's saying that, even though in a way that's what I'm doing. But I mentioned that last week. Fight against it, gold and silver, quit using their stuff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? You have to decentralize from everything. That's what I was saying in the UK for years and talking about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Everything we said has come true. Everything I put in my shows has come true. But people don't want the truth. They want hopium. They want distraction. And that goes for 90% of the people who think they're in the alternative media, because a lot of those have just, I hate using the term, woken up, which means generally they're ranting hysterically, joining a lot of dots together that don't necessarily join together, and following every Tom, Dick and Harry who's put in their path. And that's what happens, isn't it? How many more police or ex-police whistleblowers do we really need, you know? And how many of them have blown any whistles? None, to my knowledge. My favourite thing was your chat with Wayne Fontana. Oh, he was great. He was fantastic. I went to see him. I've got an interview I still haven't put out. Wayne Fontana was a 60s pop singer, by the way, known for The Game of Love, Pamela, and another one which I can't remember at the moment. But he was fantastic. We met him at the Bilderberg at Home protest, which was funded by Goldman Sachs, where we actually uncovered a lot of stuff that was going on there. That was interesting, because that showed you that, well, it was Goldman Sachs paid for that. The police were paid by Goldman Sachs to police the people who went in to monitor them at the protest. It wasn't a protest at all. It wasn't a protest. It was a controlling of the narrative with a bit of social engineering going on. Winning! Yes, we are winning. Exactly. Mark, why is Mark always so negative? I mean, 1689 Bill of Rights, Magna Carta 1215 can't go wrong. We are putting stocks on every village green. We are bringing back archery. We are winning. Actually, there's going to be some new publicity being designed for common law Malcolm, because there's so many common law Malcolms in the UK now that I think he could actually catch on and become a real revolutionary leader. Then I'd just have to say, it was a joke, you know, a bit like a War of the Worlds type moment. Once we've got everyone doing archery on village greens and taking copies of the Magna Carta in order not to pay the council tax, we have won, haven't we? We have. Does Malcolm drive a Honda Jazz? Actually, Um, I think he's got an old Maestro and an e-scooter at the moment because the Maestro's been impounded again. You know, excellent. Does Malcolm crypto? Yeah, crypto's crashed, doesn't it? Crypto's crashed about 35% drop in crypto. Well, I wonder who controls Bitcoin. Answers on a postcard to the Bank of International Settlements, or maybe just the World Bank. You know, Matt Sexton is a plant. We think, is he? What sort of plant is he? A daffodil, or is he a bit of broccoli? Broccoli's not a plant, is it? It's a vegetable. Maybe he's a vegetable. I don't know. But no, I heard the speech that he read out, and he read it out. It was like he was reading it out like it was somebody's witness statement. He was reading back to them at the station, you know. But yeah, I have no faith in ex-coppers, to be honest with you, because I've seen a lot of those come and go. And also the accusations are rather broad, manslaughter and all that stuff. You need to be very specific when you're making a complaint, but there isn't actually a complaint there. How many crime numbers did I get for people who tried to destroy a small business, who were change agents, who actually committed real criminal acts? They made death threats. There were witnesses. They stole £20,000 worth of stuff. The police knew all about it. 6 crime numbers were generated. How many were investigated? I bet you can't guess, can you? None. His revelation about following so-called recycling was into... Who's this? Oh, I'll read it. Malcolm may end up like General Nudd, the fictional Luddite leader. The authorities at the time embedded infiltrators to root. Oh, yeah. Oh, Malcolm would get easily infiltrated, wouldn't he? He is a bit gullible. Well, he did work in the civil service most of his life, you see, until he woke up and had his awakening. Look up 16th Estates, YouTube, evil, horrifying. God bless all those innocent children. Well, I'll bear that in mind, Colette, and have a look. Yes. Mark, did you read Klaus Schwab's new book, The Great Narrative? No, I've only read the first one, actually, but not all of it, because a lot of these things get extremely repetitive, but I'll have a look at that. But really, what these people say, I've kind of heard it all before, you know? It's all couched in the same rhetorical language and these beneficial crises that come up, you know. You sound like you're all over the place with your ideology. Sov.dirt, who's he? Sov.dirt, I don't know. Ideologies, who's all over the place with their ideologies? Well, there's loads of people all over the place with their ideologies. I mean, you could say that the World Economic Forum were, but they have kind of narrowed it down really to climate change, COVID and terror, you know. Same as the World Bank, same as the IMF, same as the WHO, same as the UN. It's all one corporation at the end of the day. Klaus admits he has the puppets in his pocket. Yeah, but I mean, he's a bit of a puppet himself, really. He's a bit on the spectrum, isn't he? You know, I mean, he's not what you'd call very integrated. I can't imagine him fitting in down the pub, which is probably why he wants to close them all. Have you been watching the World Economic Forum Zoom interviews? Summer comedy gold. Yes, I have, yeah. But I mean, these people are, you know, restricted in their outlook on life. Companies are controlling them, then recycle, which is basically paying for something and giving them back for free. Yeah, very true that. Yeah, that's it. But that's part of the big virtue signaling, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole point. You can't tell these people that their recycling is all part of an agenda to reduce the world's population. You know, I mean, yeah, it starts with 20-mile-per-hour zones and speed humps and ends up in a genocide, you know. Never forgive or forget all those that have bullied us into mask wearing and now getting medical treatment. Never forget. Klaus has got his spaceship ready. Well, they called it Spaceship Earth, didn't they? That's what they called it in the 70s. That was part of the interconnected big new age. The world is a spaceship and we're on Spaceship Earth. And basically, we're all interconnected global citizens. We're going to be talking about that tonight, so I better get off and get ready. But it's 9:30 p.m. UK time. In fact, I should really do it on any other radio show, but there's some controversial stuff in there which could earn us another community strike, you see. Club of Rome, going to be mentioning them tonight. Yeah, well put. I think the protest movement is all over the place with their counter narratives. 1 minute SARS-CoV-2 is a bioweapon, the next minute it doesn't exist, then it's a bioweapon again. Well, maybe it's a bioweapon that doesn't exist. It's all distraction, says public sector Jobsworths. Yeah, 99% of it is distraction. when it comes down to it, it's all about decentralizing and focusing on what you need to do to get through it, I suppose. Klaus Puppet for the banks, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, so forth, Mark. Oh, of course, Colette, of course. Anybody notice a slight increase in tsunamis? No, not where I am, no. There's been a tsunami here, no. I'm a Palladian, light seed, stay safe. Yeah, I'm a Palladian, actually. Yeah, the London Palladian. International membership groups are making the decision regionally here. US bypassing representative government. Exactly, second son of Donald. That's what I've been saying for the past 15 years. That is what sustainable development is all about. So taking back the narrative locally is exactly what we need to do. As I was talking to Casey Whalen of North Idaho Exposed several weeks ago on here, actually, you can find it on there. Do you think the Boris debacle is staged? Well, it's been used as a front because he's part of the old school who they want out, and they just want to bring in the technocrat, which is going to be Starmer at some point. But the point is, I think that what's happened during this government is quite interesting, because if they're all partying in Downing Street, well, everyone can have a party now, can't they? So why is everyone moaning about them partying? Will Malcolm be giving archery lessons? Well, actually, I'm very responsible, and I will. I will be on Village Green, which I'm not disclosing at the moment, next Saturday. Watch this space. There you go. The Earth is off its axis. Yeah, it's actually. It's moving quite a lot, isn't it? Is it going to be a pole shift, though? A real one, or just a magnetic one? That's the question. All volcano eruptions. Labour won't get in, Mark. People hate them. They will have to rig the general election. Well, I don't think they'd have much trouble doing that after all we've been through in the past couple of years. I think that should be a doddle, don't you? They've rigged everything else. Do you believe the Earth is flat? Oh, I'm not getting into all that. No, I don't really. Oh, I've denied it. I'm a flat Earth denier. Well, I found that there's a big problem with some narratives, and they're used for certain reasons. What about the food shortages? Yeah, second son of Donald. I've been seeing that, but I wasn't sure. I've been seeing some of that in America, but you never know when it's just late at night and they're restocking the shelves, you see. I haven't heard of any severe shortages yet. But, of course, this has all been talked about. It's all part of the plan, isn't it? Max Egan talked about it for a day, did he? What a whole day. But that was interesting. Did you ever think you would ever live to see the day when they would make their big move? Well, that's the interesting point, isn't it? Because on the 11th of March 2020, 11th of March 2020, wasn't it? Yes, that was when it all started, wasn't it? And that was World War III. So I said to myself, they've started, this is it, the gloves are off. And 2 years later, they're still doing it. Ukraine, yeah, keeping my eye on that. Loads of reduced vegan crap in supermarket chillers. I'm not surprised, really. I suppose it depends where it is, doesn't it? But there you go. Prices have gone up. Gas, electric, massively, especially for businesses. Businesses are really being crippled by it. The business rates have gone through the roof. Lots of fresh produce seems limited here in the Midlands supermarkets. Grow your own. Well, it's a bit late now, isn't it? But getting early, Inflation is only at 5%. Yeah, a pack of 10p crisps is now 30%. I call BS, says Aaron. That's very true, actually, isn't it? Because some stuff is going up it's going up by a third, Good evening, Mark, and good evening, everybody else in chat. Hummus prices are crazy. Oh, yeah. Well, hummus is and can be used as a weapon against people. It's a mimetic weapon, hummus. Rapture imminent. See my 1 minute video. Guru Buddha says, rapture imminent. Can't wait for that. Groovy movie from last week showing Planet X clear as a day. Undeniable proof of what? What's the undeniable proof of, though? That there's a Planet X? Another light in the sky? I saw a UFO a few weeks ago, actually. I was in this restaurant, little cafe restaurant, and we were just looking outside, and it was like two red lights. It stayed there for hours watching us, but I wasn't abducted or anything. Nothing happened. Bit of a disappointment, but I suppose these things come and go, don't they? Prices have gone up. They have to reduce carbon, and that works. They're also banning plastic wrappings in lots of different countries now, aren't they? That's another thing that's out. Planet X is crap. I don't know. I've never been there, is it? Hope Greta is Tin foil is the new black. I like the name of that. That's good. Yeah. Golden ratio. Yes. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Okay, I better get off anyway because I've got a show to do in about 20 minutes. That was quite entertaining. Thanks a lot, everybody. That's really cheered me up, actually. I like reading these comments out. They give me ideas, you know, as we're going along. You may think, do they really? Didn't notice. Nibiru is crap. Yeah, I've never been there. Is Nibiru crap? Has anyone been to Nibiru? So just let us know if it's crap or not. Okay, it's amazing where they hang money in the air to promote their evil agenda. Helping the government is submitting. Cheers. MPs were saying only a few years ago they would have to sack most of the staff as no one could do their job and were pushing UBI. Yep, ironic. Yep. Good stuff. Yes, I'll end with a lol. Yeah, let's not end with a whimper, but a lol. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. And yeah, do join us this Sunday, every Sunday, 9:30 p.m, winnersontheworld.net. Share our shows because nobody else does. It's very marginalized, and we've got a huge archive there, and there's some great information. People are still learning from it, which is fantastic because everything links to everything else in that archive, which is brilliant. Have you covered the metaverse? Not recently, no. I have looked into it, but thanks a lot, everybody, and cheers. See you at 9:30 p.m. this Sunday and every Sunday. Thanks a lot, everybody.